First of all, I must thank our esteemed panelists today. Admiral Arora, sir, thank you very much for joining us. Your participation brings a very new dimension, apart from being the chief hydrographer in the Indian Navy, I mean, which almost more than close to 4 decades, you have seen this aspect very closely, and you reached right up to the top of the leadership ladder to manage this at the policy level. And now I know you are more busy, probably post-retirement, looking at various other aspects of global geopolitical aspects. So thank you so much, sir, for joining us. I would also thank Rear Admiral Jayaratne, sir, Chief Hydrographer from Sri Lanka. It's very important for us to get a perspective, particularly Sri Lanka with its unique geography, and also Sri Lanka has 7.8 times more sea area than the land area. So definitely this is a very, very important discussion. And sir, your joining will definitely add a new dimension to this. Chandrasekhar, sir, thank you very much for joining us. Your perspective from a think tank's perspective, plus you have been in the defense ministry for a very long time as a bureaucrat, so you understand policy making at a very different level. And now for quite some time, you have been associated with multiple social causes. So, I mean, we are trying to present a dimension which has got very different, a very broader perspective where multiple stakeholders are being kind of brought together. Amit ji, thank you very much for joining us. Your perspective will be very, very important. You have been in the research and think tank circuit for a very long time. You understand the water diplomacy very well. You understand the water policy very well. So your perspective will be extremely critical for us. We are awaiting Ambassador Mudgal, sir, to join us. He has been our mentor and he has been guiding us on various aspects. We could not have our participant from Bangladesh for some reason, but we are extremely grateful to all the participants or the panelists for joining us. I'll make a very quick presentation, although it is not my day today. It's more our research fellow who's working on this. So I will be covering very quickly on what is the larger framework. And I also want to submit here that this is a series of presentations that Maritime Research Center and Nidhwani are progressing. This is our research fellows who are presenting their work. We've already had 3 such presentations earlier, starting with the Brahmaputra. We have a dedicated fellow working on the Brahmaputra, looking at multiple aspects, and that particular research fellow is supported by specific domain experts, and she's an anthropology student who made a presentation in January. Then we had one presentation on biofouling, which again, all of you will admit, it's a very important area, particularly in the tropical waters. We have some serious work on biofouling also. And the third was on the fisheries and aquaculture. We had 2 of our research fellows who presented their work, and each one of them, we had participants from multiple geographical locations. I mean, not just in India, but beyond. So we got perspectives, and we have tried to kind of balance it to get panelists from academia, think tanks, domain experts, practitioners, diplomats, bureaucrats, so that we get a very broader perspective. And this is our work on sediment management. There will be more that will be discussed. Quickly, I want to bring to your notice that what we are dealing with is very unique tropical characteristics. One is the rich biodiversity. So ruthless dredging, which has now become a norm, can have a very serious impact on sustainability and climate change. So we need to look at that in a very, very serious way. High population density, so the socio-political, socio-economic, and socio-cultural dimensions become very, very different. And there are so much of undersea resources that are available. So we need to be very careful. You need to use a lot of science and technology and a lot of awareness. I mean, very, very specific, precise awareness. And also we have had a significant civilization legacy. Can we weave it into our modern science and technology or modern understanding so that it can be taken up in a more sustainable and in a more optimal manner? And also this part of the world faces significant young population, aspiring population who require career opportunities. So what kind of career opportunities? Economic growth, of course. So how do we take it forward with that aspect behind? But the challenges are also no less. I mean, the tropical waters, the sonar, which is the basic element for underwater domain awareness, suffers 60% degradation. So how do we make sure? And also there is very little data. I mean, the situational awareness is very, very poor. Our local understanding of the region is quite inadequate, I would say. So there is a lot of work to be done there. So that's where we see an opportunity, and we would like to kind of contribute in that manner. And so this is the larger framework that we are progressing, the underwater domain awareness framework. The biggest challenge, I think, is the fragmentation among the various stakeholders. If you look at it, the strategic security, both internal and external security agencies would require a significant navigability in these waters, and their involvement in now energy security, food security. So many aspects are there. They may not be directly involved, but I mean, in critical cases, their involvement will be required. So their awareness on these will be also important. The second is blue economy. That's a huge area. Multiple aspects are part of it. I don't want to go into the details. Sustainability and climate change and digital transformation. So all these four stakeholders are very important, but it is important for us to understand that unless all these stakeholders come together and work together, they will not be able to get an optimum way ahead. And that's very, very important to make sure that we are able to build pooling of resources and synergizing of effort. And the core, as you know, will remain the acoustic capacity and capability building. So we need to work on this very, very carefully. And also want you see the smaller cubes represent the different problems that we need to solve in this whole thing. So, and also it has to be a multidisciplinary approach, sensing, analysis, and then policy. I mean, typically we have a top-down approach where we not only buy the technology from outside, but we also ask them how to deploy it. Whereas we know that there is a 60% gap. So there is a lot more to be discussed here. So my colleague Romit will be taking this forward from there. The UDA framework, as we looks at policy intervention, technology intervention, and capacity and capability building. So we need to look at this in a very, very holistic manner. And technology will be one of the drivers, but we cannot ignore the traditional knowledge that is important. So there will be a little bit of elaboration on this aspect also through Romit's presentation. So this is a very specific case on sediment management, where there are multiple stakeholders. Freshwater management is another very important area. Inland water transport is even coastal navigation is part of that. And then deployments across water bodies, whether it is for defense or for any other purpose. This is the digital platform that we have created, or digital framework, the marine spatial planning. So you can see a spatial temporal map. This will be a very, very useful tool for our policy makers. If you can get the data into a spatial temporal map, which is now being pushed by the UNESCO as a marine spatial planning. I mean, this will be a very important governance tool for all of us. And we are trying to work on multiple dimensions of this, not just for sediment management, even how to deploy sonars, how to look at fisheries, aquaculture, how to look at mineral resources. So if we get a heat map like this, there'll be multiple decision makings that will become far more easier and far more precise. One important aspect is, if we just take the case of India, 3.7 million square kilometers of EEZ that we are talking about. It's not possible for us to put so many sensors. And when we use sensors, then what kind of resolution can we get? So modeling and simulation is the best method way forward. And this can give you infinite resolution and infinite area coverage. So using above water data, we build the models. Using acoustic methods, we validate those models. And once those models are validated, now AI and various such technologies can give you a very different dimensions of how to manage these things. So my colleague will definitely elaborate on this. And here we can also take care of the specific tropical dimension. To see, to understand, and to share is the broad acoustic capacity building. To see is the hardware, whether it is a sensor and also the platform, whether it is a AUV or a surface craft or a submarine, whatever. So that is one part, that is the hardware. But once that data is collected, then the analysis becomes very important. So to expedite or to accelerate our development, we can definitely import the hardware, but the analysis cannot be offloaded to anybody. Otherwise, we will be sharing. I mean, this 60% degradation of performance that I say about sonars, if we can deny, this to our adversary, we can get double advantage strategically. So by whatever improvement we can do because of our data analysis, there are different methods. We won't have the time to discuss that, but data analysis has to be, and if we share this data with anybody outside, which may get into the hands of our adversary, this can become very catastrophic. So we need to keep the data processing within our domain. And the third is to share. Now, to share is very important. It has to be customized. Now, to a very senior naval commander or to a very senior decision maker, they may have the liberty of a big screen, but they will need very strategic inputs. They cannot be overwhelmed with very basic tactical data. So very customized displays need to be provided. But at a ground level, whether it is a fisherman or a ground level Navy sailor, they need tactical data. So and they may not have the luxury of a big screen. So a mobile app may have to be designed. So there are nuances in the to share part also. So we are trying to work on various such aspects and make it. I mean, sometimes we look at startups and they say we've made an AUV or we've made a drone. But in the absence of the ecosystem, this will make no sense if we can't give. So we have been pushing for solutions rather than selling products. So, I mean, there is enough hardware which can be configured to provide solutions which are local. In terms of the manpower, we need high-end data analysts who will take care of the entire computational and also the hardware aspects. But once that information is brought in, we need domain specialists who will kind of make sense of that data or make sense of that information and give us the policy support. But the third is more interesting for me, the field deployment specialist. We need to still send people for waterfront deployments, whether it is for collecting sample or putting sensors or even for other information collection. They can be the coastal communities or the riverine communities who are very comfortable with the waterfront. In fact, the deployments, and this is where the traditional knowledge can become very, very important. We can weave in this entire thing and they can be part of the larger digital transformation that we're looking at. So we've been working on, in fact, Nishtha is herself working on this 100 coastal or warriors or river warriors or even water warriors. So each of these aspects will have their own dimensions and this can be covered. So, and also when we look at any kind of projects we need to look at or any kind of policy formation, people, economy, nature, I mean, the livelihood aspects, the economy, of course, and nature, the sustainability dimension needs to be looked at, and it has to kind of be balanced and taken forward together. But with a better underwater domain awareness, I think it will be much easier for us to push this. MRC has been working on this. We have, I think, put at least 25 interns from the top IITs and even from the liberal arts institutes like St. Stephen's and others who have worked and kind of built our work from behind. And also then we have had at least 3 to 4 fellows, including one PhD scholar who has finished her work on this particular aspect. So we are quite, I mean, it's, I think, more than 6 years of work, which now Romit is progressing. But we keep on adding various, and every year when we have interns, they add to multiple dimensions and their work gets accumulated into this entire thing. We have got skilling programs approved by the Maharashtra Skill University. And also now NCVT clearance is being provided to us. So we'll be running such courses. And also University of Bombay is also considering approving them so that we can run them as proper academic and skilling programs. And we have been training various stakeholders like Border Security Force and Disaster Relief Force and all these, even Indian Forest Service officers, even Indian Foreign Service officers also, and Armed Forces officers are being trained on various such nuances, because even Army officers are facing a lot of sediment challenges in terms of navigating the river system. And then the real world problem solving, I think my colleague will be discussing in more details. So thank you so much. Back to you,